Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Ulan Gaming, and I have quite the weird build for you today. So today I'm going to be going over my most recent build that I created for PvP, and it's really funny because it combines everything that shouldn't work in a build and then makes it super good in duels. Like, this build is downright oppressive in fights sometimes. But we are combining everything that's bad in a build. We are going with no armor, so we have 0 protection and poise except for a pair of pants. We are going with a low range, low damage, easy to parry weapon. We are using an Ash of War that doesn't do much damage at all and also isn't evasive like Bloodhound Step or a buff like Seppuku. Our low damage weapon scales in strength because we set it to heavy, but we're instead pumping all of our stats into intelligence. Like, this build should not work, and it totally does. I give you the Aoi Todo cosplay from Jujutsu Kaisen. This is going to be using a couple things to get this to work. First is our Cestus. Our weapon of choice is the Cestus. It's a Todo cosplay. He's got a punch. My two options were really between the Cestus and the Spike Cestus, since they have like the same model. So it's really just it comes down to whichever one is better. And the Spike Cestus, in addition to having bleed, also just has slightly better scaling and base damage. So there's really no reason to ever pick the Cestus over the Spike Cestus unless you really care about that 1/2 unit of weight. So that's our weapon of choice. We're upgrading it to plus 25. I have like 25 to 30 strength, so I threw heavy in there because it helped it. But what's most important about that is it allows our Cestus to be buffed. And this is a buff build. It's why we're pumping everything into intelligence. Now, I chose to run the build this way for a couple reasons, because Todo it runs off cursed energy and it glows blue, and that he also self-proclaims to have 530,000 IQ, so having a high intelligence build that makes your fists glow blue while you attack just fit him like a glove. It really could not have been any better than that. So, here's our stats. Now, I am using Godric's Great Rune, and I am not quite at meta level PvP yet. So the stats are a little bit lower than what they are presented here. But this is the basic idea. In the end, we want to have 80 intelligence with like almost with 50-ish vigor, and 25-ish strength. With a few points dumped into mine, just so that we can cast Scholar's Armament a second time. Now, the reason Scholar's Armament is so powerful is because it takes 75% of your staff's sorcery scaling and just adds it to your weapon as flat damage. And since Lusat's staff scales super hard, by having Lusat staff with 80 intelligence, we are getting more than 400 AR, so that is going to add 300 raw damage to each of our strikes with the fist weapon. And because we dual wield, we can do these 1-2 punches really quickly, so that we get more than 600 extra damage off of every single R1, which is pretty crazy, actually. Next, in order to run with the cosplay, we are just running a pair of pants that come with some shoes, and we are running nothing else. So in order to compensate for this, we need lots and lots of HP. So we have a ton of vigor. I have 45 with Godric's Great Rune at the moment, where my build currently is, and I'm also running Erdtree's Favor +2 and Crimson Amber Medallion +2. For the sake of increasing our max HP, giving us a total of more than 1,600, or more than 1,700, I think, actually, which is quite a bit of HP, and more than compensates for our complete lack of armor. We are at a disadvantage if we fight people who do have both lots of HP and armor. however. The other problem with having no armor is that we have no poise, however, and that is where our Ash of War comes in. Now, I didn't have the Ash of War decided when I put this build together, and when I started doing PvP, I actually messed around with a lot of different Ashes of War trying to find the one that works, and by and large, what shocked me is that the Ash of War that really kicked ass more than any other Ash of War is fucking Stomp. Like, Stomp, the one you get at the very beginning of the game with the Wet Knife that allows you to put Ashes of War on, the item that gives you the tutorial for Ashes of War. For most people, this is the first Ash of War they ever pick up in most of their playthroughs, and it's widely considered hilariously weak, but we are using it, and it is super good, and we are using it for a couple of reasons. One is because you cannot be staggered out of it. Legit, it doesn't matter what kind of armor you are. It doesn't matter if you're wearing heavy armor or no armor. If you press the L2 button, you're doing your stomp, pretty much. The only way you can get staggered out of it is if you get afflicted with a status ailment like bleed or frostbite. So just be careful not to trade hits that will one-hit you with bleed. Now, obviously, you can run my build with armor. I'm just doing it without armor because I like the cosplay aspects. It's why I made the character. But we are taking advantage of our lack of armor here to light roll. So we have a ton of HP, we have infinite hyper armor, and we have light rolls. So that's a very defensive setup here. The other benefit to Stomp is if you hit somebody with it, it guarantees your R1 combo, which, as said, will likely do more than 600 damage to your opponent. They'll roll away from here or try to trade with you, so if they try to trade with you and you read it, you can just Stomp again and do another R1, and if they roll away, you can try to chase them down and do an R1, and do your sprint attacks or jump attacks to try to chase them down. If they parry you, and you read the parry, because it's pretty easy to parry you because people love to parry the fist weapons, all you have to do is press the L2 button on your controller and Stomp them in the face, and their parry attempt is null and void, and you get a nice free R1 right to the face for 600 damage. It is really, really solid. Now, as for the Talismans, I already mentioned the Erdtree's Favor +2 and the Crimson Amber Medallion. We are also running the Old Lord's Talisman. This will allow us to maintain our buffs for an entire 2 minutes after we apply them, which basically just ensures that you will never, ever need to rebuff. I have done around 60 to 70 duels with this character so far, and not once have I ever needed to rebuff. I always have plenty of time to spare after I kill the opponent before I need to reapply. So it really is a nice quality of life. The other thing we are adding is the Blue Dancer's Charm, which increases attack at low equip load. Specifically, you need 8 or less equip load to get a maximum of 15% damage out of this. Now, we are naked except for a pair of pants and our cestus and our talismans, which totals just under 8, which is perfect. However, the Lusat staff weighs 4, so after we apply our buff, we need to dequip the Lusat staff. This is why we have the Old Lord's Talisman as a failsafe, so that we're less likely to need to re-equip the Lusat staff to reapply our buff and get and maintain our maximum damage, because you really don't do much damage without your buff. Now, most fights with this build end in a couple seconds. You either die in 4 hits or the enemy dies in 3 hits. It really just is a matter of who gets the drop. So with this build, you really do need to be good at reading your opponent, be good at evading attacks and running around. It is a very fun build. I wouldn't say it's meta or anything like that, but I did have this great moment in my invasion footage, as you see here, where somebody who I had killed before, twice, invaded me a third time, and was using the spike cestus with magic grease and storm stomp. So he saw what I was doing, liked it, and decided to try it out himself. Now, he obviously didn't have a build designed for it like I did, so, you know, he barely did any damage, and I two-shot him, but, you know, that's just the way it goes. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please enjoy the rest of this footage that you see in the background, and have a great day. you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This was, as ever, a ton of fun to make. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider subscribing. It really helps the channel out, and have a great day.